All right. So, what do you remember most about your World University Games experience?
I remember it. So I was coming out of my senior year in college, and it was the first. It was my first international competition, and from the get go, especially after a number of years swimming on the national team later, and culminating with the Olympics in '96. Looking back, it was the most similar to the Olympic Games. I mean, the countries are all represented. They've got their top athletes in that category. So students. And the outfitting was like the Olympics. The way they organized and carried the meets or the competitions along, it really was a great motivating thing for kids leaving kind of university to move to the next level in their sport.
So, what was it like getting to represent the U.S. on a large scale like the World University Games?
It was great. I mean, it was the first time putting the red, white, and blue on my back, and the opportunity to compete, but also come together as Team USA. It was exciting, and we did what the United States does in the sport of swimming, at least in those competitions. We rose to the occasion when we did really well.
Yeah, but so, do you think that swimming in an event like the World University Games made you a better competitor overall?
Absolutely. I mean, it literally launched my international career. I had massive time drops. I was coming off of a great NCAA performance a month or so prior, and it catapulted me into national rank or international rankings, and solidified the fact that I needed to train 2 more years and try to make the Olympic team. I'm not sure without the World University Games that I would have continued my swimming journey, but that the drops I had there, transition to a U.S. national championship later that summer, and my second international event, making a national A team on the Pan Pacific Games that summer. So all of that happened in '93 for me, and that really made it easy for me to commit to the next few years of my life to keep going.
I can understand that. That had to be amazing, and then eventually you got to go to the Olympics and represent the U.S. there. Yeah, I mean, even though it was only in Atlanta, but still.
It's actually better. I remember someone asking me if I was disappointed that it was so close to home, and my response was the only thing that would have made it better is if they actually had the Olympics in Raleigh, because Atlanta gave me a chance to have a lot of friends and family that otherwise might not have been able to make the trip to come and see me swim, and having a home crowd. I mean, it just really makes a difference. It reminded me of, we had a U.S. national championship short course held at Chapel Hill when I was in high school. And I got more cheers than Matt Biondi and Tom Jager did in the finals of the 50 free, because I was the 17-year-old
Hometown kid.
And so that makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, you're from the Raleigh area. You went to state, so about the this large university presence that the Triangle has. Besides the big three, you got all the other smaller colleges. What are your thoughts on NC State and all these other colleges, as hosts for the games? Yeah,
well, the good news is there are venues for every sporting event already in place in the region. It's a great part of the country to showcase on an international stage, and it's beautiful. There's people that come in from other countries. My whole life, people that hadn't been to North Carolina, when they've come in for a variety of reasons, they always say, "Wow, there's so many trees. It's so pretty." I think it's easy to get to from major airport hubs. So even if somebody's coming from a remote part of the world, they can fly into Atlanta or whatnot, and set up their camp. A lot of times these countries will come in and they'll come in early for a few weeks, and they'll train somewhere far away from the actual venue. And so I could see people coming in and training in different parts of the state or in different parts of the Southeast. and then making that transition, the week before the event up to Raleigh. But I think it's a great spot to consider having a multi-sport, global event, just because of all of the facilities that are in place and the love of sport that exists in the Triangle.
So, in your perspective, what kind of positive impact should we expect if the Triangle was selected to be the 2027 host?
Yeah, I mean, I think this kind of event, I mean, it literally showcases a region and a city to the world. And so I think you're going to have an entire generation of athletes and the people that follow those athletes and the fans that watch sporting events that might not be familiar with what we know is such a special place. And they'll get familiar, and then they'll learn a little more, and they'll learn about the universities there, and they'll learn about the businesses represented there. And I think you see momentum follow that in a lot of different ways. I think it credentializes the region even more if a company is looking for a spot to relocate in the U.S. I think it puts on the radar a place to go to college for these, some of these kids that are coming in or coming out of high school. And it really is a landmark opportunity to showcase the region to the world.
So, is there any advice you'd give the North Carolina Bid Committee that might help them, land the games?
Yes, I think they should put themselves in the shoes of the bid selection committee and the countries they're from, and the things that they might think about or be concerned about for their athletes, and address those things. And they'll want to showcase the multicultural nature of the region and of the city. They'll want to showcase this is World University Games, so I think they should showcase the universities that are in the immediate region. And I think they should showcase the sporting culture that exists and the facilities that exist, and also any legacy that they see will get left behind. I think bid selection committees are always interested in legacy and how they can leave a place better in promoting sports. And so if there are facilities or programs that are intended to come out of this, I think showcasing that, especially sports that might be relevant to the countries that are part of the bid selection process. I don't know who the selection committee is, but usually they're globally oriented, and there's always seems to be a bit of a concentration in Europe. And so just thinking about the things that they'll care about as you're putting the bid forward.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's everything I got. So thank you so much.
Great.